Ava had always believed in the kind of love that movies promised, the kind of love that felt safe, warm, and eternal. She had been with Ethan for 3 years, and in her heart, she was certain he was her future. They had shared birthdays, late-night conversations, dreams about travel, and even plans to move into a bigger apartment together. Ava thought she knew him completely, but she was about to discover that some truths were better left hidden. It was a Friday evening when she decided to surprise him. She had baked his favorite chocolate cake and carried it in a little box, humming nervously as she approached his apartment. Her heart raced with excitement and love. She could already imagine Ethan's surprised smile, the way he would hug her and say, "You didn't have to, Ava, but I love it." But when she reached the door, she froze. She heard laughter, soft, intimate laughter, the kind that didn't belong to her. Her stomach sank as a strange, heavy feeling filled her chest. Ava took a step closer, peeking through the slightly ajar door, and what she saw shattered everything she had believed in. There he was, Ethan, leaning close to another woman, whispering something that made the woman giggle. Their hands brushed in a way that made Ava's blood run cold. For a moment, Ava couldn't breathe. Her heart ached, her eyes stung with tears, and yet a spark of fire ignited inside her. "Ethan," she whispered, her voice trembling but firm. Ethan turned, his face registering shock, fear, and then guilt all at once. "Ava, it's not what it looks like!" But Ava could see it clearly. The messages on his phone, the secret dates, the lies, it all made sense now. This wasn't an accident. It wasn't a mistake. It had been going on for months. Ava felt her world collapse, but instead of breaking entirely, a part of her hardened. She realized she had a choice. She could crumble under the weight of betrayal, or she could rise, take control, and make sure Ethan understood the cost of his actions. That night, Ava sat alone in her apartment, staring at the ceiling, replaying every memory, every moment where she had been deceived. Her tears fell, but so did the first seeds of determination. She wasn't going to beg. She wasn't going to cry for someone who had treated her like an option. She would plan. She would act. She would rise stronger than the heartbreak he had given her, because betrayal may have broken her trust, but it would never break her spirit. The night after discovering Ethan's betrayal felt endless. Ava lay awake, staring at the ceiling, her mind replaying every detail like a broken film reel. His smile, his excuses, the way he had held her hand while probably thinking about someone else. Each thought pierced her like a blade. By dawn, her tears had dried, replaced by a cold determination. Ava wasn't just going to walk away quietly. She wanted Ethan to feel the same humiliation, the same emptiness he had forced on her. She wanted him to taste the pain of betrayal. The first step was to gather proof. Ava knew that if she confronted Ethan again, he would twist the truth, lie through his teeth, and make her doubt herself. So she started documenting. She scrolled through his social media late into the night, noticing comments from the same girl she had seen in his apartment. Smiling emojis, late-night likes, subtle captions that suddenly carried hidden meanings. Ava took screenshots, saving everything into a hidden folder. She even borrowed her friend Clara's help, who worked at the same company as Ethan. Clara kept an eye on him, casually reporting when Ethan stayed late at work or left with the same woman. Each detail added another piece to Ava's growing puzzle. The betrayal wasn't just emotional, it was calculated. And that realization made Ava burn with fury. But revenge wasn't just about exposing him. Ava wanted him to lose what mattered most: his image, his confidence, his sense of control. Ethan prided himself on being the charming, trustworthy guy everyone admired. So Ava decided she would tear down the perfect mask he wore in front of others. She crafted a plan slowly, carefully. She began acting normal around him, pretending she believed his lies. When he texted, she replied with kindness. When he called, she picked up with a soft voice. It was the hardest thing she had ever done, to mask her rage behind a fake smile. But Ava knew. A good revenge required patience. Meanwhile, she focused on herself, joining a fitness class, picking up extra shifts at work, and surrounding herself with supportive friends. Slowly, her pain turned into fuel. She wanted Ethan to look at her one day and realize he had thrown away the best thing in his life. But deep down, Ava also knew this wasn't just about looking stronger. This was about creating the perfect moment, the perfect strike that would leave Ethan shattered. And that moment was coming soon. Weeks passed, and Ava's patience turned into a weapon sharper than any blade. She played her role so well that Ethan didn't even suspect. To him, Ava seemed softer, calmer, as if she had forgiven him. But behind her gentle smile, Ava was setting the stage for his downfall. One Friday evening, Ethan told Ava he had an urgent late-night meeting. Ava nodded sweetly, pretending to believe him. But instead of staying home, she dressed carefully, slipping into a simple but elegant black dress. Her eyes were calm, but her heart was steady with determination. Tonight, the truth would no longer be hidden. With Clara's help, Ava had learned the exact location where Ethan and his mistress often met, a cozy upscale restaurant just outside town. The kind of place Ethan would never take Ava because someone might see them. Ironically, tonight, that secrecy would become his trap. Ava arrived quietly, choosing a table across the room but in clear sight. And there he was, Ethan, leaning close across the table, smiling in that same charming way he had once reserved only for her. The woman laughed, touching his hand like they were the only two people in the world. Ava's chest tightened, but she didn't look away. Instead, she pulled out her phone, discreetly recording everything. The laughter, the touches, the undeniable intimacy. Every second of it became evidence. But Ava wasn't going to keep this hidden in a folder forever. She wanted Ethan exposed. That night, while Ethan still sat at the restaurant, Ava uploaded short clips to her private group chat, where his closest friends, his family, and even some colleagues were members. The caption was simple but deadly. "This is the man who calls himself loyal." Within minutes, her phone buzzed with shocked reactions, angry messages, and disbelief from people who had once admired Ethan. His perfect mask was cracking, and Ava was the one pulling the strings. Then came the final blow. Ava stood up from her seat and walked across the restaurant. Ethan's smile froze when he saw her, the color draining from his face. The woman beside him looked confused, unaware of what was about to unfold. Ava leaned down just enough for her voice to be calm but sharp as glass. "Don't worry, Ethan. Everyone you know has already seen the real you." She didn't wait for his excuses. She simply turned and walked out, her heels clicking against the floor, leaving Ethan trembling in the wreckage of his own lies. That night, for the first time since her heartbreak, Ava felt powerful. This wasn't the end of her revenge. It was only the beginning. Ethan had been unmasked, but Ava wasn't finished yet. Not until he felt the same emptiness she had once endured. The night Ava exposed Ethan in front of everyone was only the spark. What came after was the fire that burned down the empire of lies Ethan had built for years. At first, Ethan tried to do damage control. He deleted his social media, avoided family gatherings, and even begged Ava in private to keep this between them. But Ava wasn't going to protect him anymore. The man who had once betrayed her trust was now nothing but a stranger who deserved every ounce of pain he had given. Ava's silence was louder than his excuses. She didn't shout. She didn't argue. She simply acted, and her actions cut deeper than any words ever could. Phase 1. Reputation within days, the video spread beyond the private circle. Friends showed it to friends, colleagues whispered about it in the office, and Ethan's once perfect husband image shattered completely. At work, people started questioning his integrity. If he could lie so well in his personal life, what about his professional one? His boss, who had seen the video through a mutual contact, called him in for a serious discussion. Ethan's promotion, which he had been bragging about for months, was put on hold indefinitely. Ava didn't even need to lift a finger. The world was punishing Ethan for her. Phase 2. The mistress turns. The woman Ethan had been cheating with wasn't prepared for the fallout either. Once she realized she was now the center of gossip and whispers, she panicked. She hadn't signed up to be the villain in someone else's marriage drama. Within a week, she blocked Ethan, cut all ties, and disappeared from his life. The betrayal Ethan thought was his escape became another wound. He had lost Ava's trust, and now he had lost his mistress too. He was left completely alone. Phase 3, financial collapse, but Ava wasn't done. She had spent years helping Ethan with his finances, his contacts, even his networking. She knew everything, his weak spots, his debts, the clients who disliked him. Quietly, she reached out to those clients and revealed Ethan's true nature, attaching the video as proof of his dishonesty. Business partners who once trusted him now pulled away. A man who prided himself on being successful suddenly found doors closing one by one. His bank account began to shrink, and his debts grew heavier by the day. Meanwhile, Ava rebuilt her own life. She took on projects, worked late nights, and poured her energy into herself. The same strength Ethan once underestimated now became her weapon. Phase 4. Face-to-face, one rainy evening, Ethan showed up at Ava's doorstep. His once confident eyes were now hollow, his voice shaky. He looked nothing like the man who had once laughed so freely at the dinner table with another woman. "Ava, please. I've lost everything. I need you." "I made a mistake," he whispered, tears mixing with the rain. Ava looked at him, her face calm, her heart steady. For a brief moment, memories flashed, his smile, their shared dreams, the nights she once believed in him. But then, sharper memories followed, the lies, the betrayal, the humiliation. She stepped closer, looked directly into his broken eyes, and said softly but firmly, "No, Ethan. You didn't make a mistake. You made a choice, and so did I." She shut the door, not with anger, but with finality. The chapter of Ethan was closed forever. The rise of Ava months later, Ava's life had transformed. She was stronger, more independent, and surrounded by people who respected her courage. Her story of betrayal and resilience became an inspiration to others who had suffered in silence. Ethan, on the other hand, faded into the shadows, jobless, alone, and haunted by the choices he could never undo. Ava didn't just survive betrayal, she rose from it, more powerful than ever. Her revenge wasn't only about exposing Ethan, her true victory was showing the world and herself that betrayal can break a heart, but it can never destroy a soul that refuses to give up. He betrayed her once, but she made sure he could never betray anyone again. In the end, Ava didn't just win against Ethan, she won back her life,